I was standing in front of the bathroom mirror this morning, rehearsing again. The same words I've been trying to get right for 32 years. My voice cracked on the second sentence, just like it always does. I'm 85 years old, and I still can't say it out loud without my throat closing up. My name is Robert Chell. I'll be 86 in April, if I make it that far. The doctors aren't making any promises anymore. The apology I've been practicing is 43 words long. I've timed it. Less than 30 seconds to say something I should have said in 1993. But I never will say it now. The person I owe it to has been gone for 7 years. This isn't one of those stories where I figured it out just in time. I didn't rush to a hospital bed and make everything right before the credits rolled. Real life doesn't work that way. Not mine anyway. I'm telling you this because I keep thinking about all the years I spent getting ready to apologize and how I somehow believed that practicing it was almost as good as doing it. It's not. I was a computer engineer, retired in 2008 after 41 years with the same company. I'm telling you this because I want you to understand how my mind works. How it worked, I should say. I approached problems methodically. I believed in preparation. I believed that if you thought something through carefully enough, you could get it right. That approach built me a good career. It did not build me a good relationship with my younger brother. Daniel was 4 years younger than me. Growing up, I was the responsible one. The one who did his homework without being asked, who got into Berkeley, who made our parents proud in all the obvious ways. Daniel was the one who painted, who played guitar, badly but joyfully, who dropped out of college to work at a record store, and seemed perfectly content with that choice. Our parents worried about him constantly, and I think I absorbed their worry and turned it into something uglier. Judgment, superiority, the quiet certainty that I knew better than he did about how life should be lived. The incident that required the apology happened at Christmas dinner in 1992. Daniel was 38. He'd just gotten engaged to a woman named Beth. She was a photographer, and from what I could tell, she made Daniel happier than I'd ever seen him. But she didn't have a college degree. She didn't have a career plan. He lived in a converted garage studio. And when Daniel announced their engagement, I could see the concern flash across my mother's face. I didn't say anything that night. I'm good at not saying things in the moment. 3 days later, I called Daniel. I'd prepared what I wanted to say. I'd made notes. I told myself I was being helpful. I told him I thought he should wait, that he was rushing into something, that he barely knew this woman, that he should think about financial stability, about the future, about what marriage really meant. I can still hear my own voice on that call, calm. He was quiet for a long time after I finished. Then he said, "You don't think I'm good enough for this, do you? You've never thought I'm good enough for anything." I told him that wasn't true, that I was trying to help, that someone needed to be realistic. Daniel married Beth 4 months later. I was invited to the wedding. I went, because not going would have made me the obvious villain in the family story. But I didn't apologize. I told myself he'd see, eventually, that I'd been trying to look out for him. That time would prove me right. Time did not prove me right. They were happy, stupidly happy, in a way that seemed almost naive to me at first. They bought a small house in Oakland with money Beth inherited from an aunt. Daniel kept working at the record store and playing his guitar. Not enough to make them rich, but enough. They had 2 kids, Emma and Jack. I watched from a distance. I visited for holidays. I was polite. I sent birthday cards. But there was something between Daniel and me that hadn't been there before that phone call. A carefulness. He didn't tell me things anymore. Didn't call just to talk. When we were in the same room, we spoke like colleagues, not brothers. I kept waiting for him to bring it up, to give me an opening to explain myself better, to clarify what I'd really meant. That opening never came. My wife Linda asked me once, maybe 5 years after the wedding, if I'd ever apologized to Daniel. I said I didn't have anything to apologize for. I'd been honest with him, maybe too honest, but that wasn't a crime. She looked at me for a long moment and then said, "You broke something, Bobby, and you're pretending you didn't." I didn't want to hear that, so I changed the subject. I started practicing the apology around 2001. I don't remember exactly what triggered it. Maybe it was seeing Daniel with his kids, how patient he was with them, how present. Maybe it was realizing that his life had turned out better than mine in the ways that actually mattered. My marriage was fine, functional, but we never had the easy warmth I saw between Daniel and Beth. My own kids called me once a month out of obligation. I started rehearsing it in the car, in the shower, lying awake at night. Daniel, I need to apologize for what I said before your wedding. I was wrong. I was judgmental and arrogant and I hurt you. I'm sorry. 43 words. Sounds so simple when I write it down like that. Every time I saw him, I'd tell myself this was the moment. We'd be standing in my parents' kitchen, or sitting on his back porch, or walking to our cars after dinner. I'd feel the words rising up in my throat, and then I'd swallow them back down. I'd tell myself it had been too long. That bringing it up now would be awkward. That maybe he'd forgotten about it, moved on, and I'd just be reopening an old wound for no reason. That our relationship was okay as it was, not close, but okay. Why risk making it worse? I practiced the apology for 32 years. I practiced it so many times that it started to feel like I'd actually done it. Like the act of preparing to apologize was almost the same as apologizing. I'd refined the wording. I knew exactly what tone I'd use. I had the whole thing mapped out. Daniel died in March 2018. Heart attack. He was 64 years old. He was at the record store, the same one he'd worked at for 40 years, now managing it. One minute, he was helping a customer find an obscure jazz album. The next minute, he was gone. I flew up for the funeral. Everyone was kind. No one blamed me for anything, because there was nothing obvious to blame me for. I was a distant but dependable older brother who showed up when it mattered. At the reception, I found myself standing in front of a photo timeline Beth had put together. Pictures of Daniel's whole life. There was one from the wedding. Him and Beth, both laughing, her veil crooked. He looked incandescent with joy. I stood there for a long time, looking at that photo. Someone came up beside me. It was Emma, Daniel's daughter. She was 31 then, a social worker. He said, "You know what Dad told me once?" He said, "The hardest thing about getting older was realizing that some people would rather be right than be close to you." He said it gently. I don't think she meant it as an accusation, but I felt it like one. I went home and I tried to say the apology out loud, alone in my house. I thought maybe if I could just say it, even to an empty room, it would count for something, that it would relieve some of the pressure building in my chest. But I couldn't get through it. I broke down on the word wrong, just completely fell apart. Linda found me sitting on the bathroom floor crying like I hadn't cried since I was a child. She sat down next to me and held my hand. She said, "You loved him." I said, "I never told him I was sorry." She said, "I know." Then she said, "Bobby, you have to forgive yourself. You can't carry this forever." But I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to forgive myself for choosing pride over connection, for choosing being right over being a brother, for practicing words instead of saying them. I'm dying now. Pancreatic cancer. They caught it late. I have maybe 3 months, maybe less. I've had a lot of time to think about what I did. Not what I did in 1992, but what I did for the 32 years after that. The years of silence. The years of practicing instead of doing. Here's what I figured out, sitting here at 85 with my expiration date circled on the calendar. An apology you don't say isn't an apology. It's just a story you tell yourself about the kind of person you wish you were. I thought I was being careful. I thought I was waiting for the right moment. But there is no right moment. There's just moment after moment after moment, and most of them are good enough, and I let all of them pass by. I convinced myself that Daniel didn't need to hear it. That maybe he'd already figured out I was sorry through my actions, through the fact that I kept showing up. But that's not how it works. People can't read your mind. They can't hear the apologies you practice in the shower. I think about all the Christmas dinners we sat through being polite to each other. All the phone calls that stayed surface level because I was too afraid to go deeper. All the moments I could have said, "I was wrong about Beth. I was wrong about your life. I'm sorry I made you feel like you weren't good enough." I could have said it in 2002, 2009, 2015, any time. I didn't. And now Daniel's been gone for 7 years and I'm sitting here with my perfectly rehearsed apology that will never be heard by the person who needed to hear it. Beth came to visit me last week. She brings me soup sometimes, checks on me. She's a good person. Daniel chose well. I almost told her, almost said, I need you to know I was sorry. I should have apologized to him. But that felt selfish, like I was asking her to absolve me of something that wasn't her job to absolve. So I didn't say that either. We talked about her photography instead, about her grandkids, about the record store, which is still open, now run by one of Daniel's former employees. She talked about Daniel, how much she missed him, how he'd been her best friend. She said, he always hoped you two would get close again. He used to say maybe someday. That broke me. The idea that Daniel had been hoping too, that maybe he'd been waiting for me the same way I'd been waiting for the right moment. After she left, I went back to the bathroom mirror. I tried to say it again. Daniel, I need to apologize for what I said before your wedding. I was wrong. I was judgmental and arrogant, and I hurt you. I'm sorry. I got through the whole thing this time. Perfect delivery, exactly the right tone. It didn't matter. I'm recording this because I don't want to die with these words still stuck in my throat. But I'm also recording it because maybe someone else is practicing something they need to say, rehearsing it, getting it perfect. If that's you, this is what I want you to know. It doesn't have to be perfect. It probably shouldn't be. The people we owe apologies to don't need our polished speeches. They need to hear us say, I was wrong. I'm sorry. That's all Daniel needed from me. Not my carefully prepared explanation, not my justifications, just those words said out loud to his actual face any time in the last 32 years. I thought I had time. Everyone thinks they have time. But time is the thing that runs out first, and you don't get any warning. One day the person you need to apologize to is there, and the next day they're not, and all you're left with is a speech you never gave. I'm tired now. I sleep most of the day. Sometimes, late at night, I imagine a different version of my life. One where I called Daniel back in 1993, right after our fight, and said, I'm sorry, I was out of line. I love you, and I want you to be happy. That's it. That's all it would have taken. How different would things have been? Would we have been closer? Would his kids have known me better? Would I have learned from him how to be less rigid, less certain, less afraid of being wrong? I'll never know. What I do know is this. An apology you never say doesn't protect you from anything. It doesn't keep the peace. It doesn't make things better. It just sits inside you, getting heavier, until one day you realize you've carried it your whole life for nothing. The weight of unsaid words is so much worse than the risk of saying them. I'm 85 years old. I've had a decent life. I'm not looking for pity. But if I could go back and do one thing differently, it wouldn't be a career choice or a financial decision. It would be this. I would stop practicing and I would just say it. I would tell my brother I was sorry while he was still alive to hear it. If you've listened this far, thank you. I don't know why you'd want to hear an old man's regrets, but I appreciate it. If there's someone you need to apologize to, maybe you're waiting for the right time, for them to bring it up first. Don't. Just say it. Stumble through it. Get it wrong. But say it while you still can. Because the worst thing isn't getting it wrong. The worst thing is never saying it at all. I wish I'd understood that sooner. I really do. If this meant something to you, I'd like to know. Leave a comment if you want. Or don't. Either way, I hope you're braver than I was. Take care of yourself. And take care of each other.